Breaking.
All right.
So yeah, all of that was left out because you messed up.
For fuck's sake. Hello, people. Right
And as
now,
it turns out, I had nothing to
should
do with it.
you should be able to interact with us now. I have been contemplating why it wasn't working, why the
Amongst
stream
other
wasn't
things.
working, as well as my existential crisis happening. And as it turns out, you just have to click start stream.
No, I wonder if
Big.
the button that says "Go Live" has anything to do with it.
Oh, that is. It should not work.
It should now be less heresy.
Yeah, Shad, please talk. Oh, that is okay. Oh, my phone just told me to make a FimFake account. I have completed this task. Hey, we have one concurrent viewer. Hello. I'm not sure. Maybe YouTube has finally decided to not count me, or it does, and I'm just speaking into the void, hoping that reality just decides that I'm actually nice and doesn't want to kick my ass. I really could use that right now. But alas. So, we're just gonna make sure that everything stuff is working and check, because I saw 4 people before it said 4 concurrent viewers. And I'm just here. Bunch of lost good memes. Oh well. Hello, hello, chat. Which is nobody.
So nothing's different from standard.
Shut up. Pretty much. So we're alone. For those who watch this back as a video, welcome again to Reading of Prey and the Lamb. We're on episode 4 of us reading this book.
Yes, we are in chapter 2.
I need to make a better phrase for it, because like my head is tired, so my language is very foul right now. That's what happens when I feel tired. I've got tea to soothe me.
I just kind of get rude and passive aggressive.
When are you not passive aggressive?
When I'm fully awake.
Then you're timid. Then you are a timid little sheep.
Little sheep.
Yeah, I am fully aware of what we're reading, but disclaimer: I don't know. But I don't need to make a bloody disclaimer. This is a fan fiction of MLP. It's good shit. It's gruesome. Be aware of all that shit. But
warning tags include blood, gore, violence,
yeah, warning tags,
death.
all that stuff.
Then there's warnings like things like dark, good stuff.
We're just gonna have fun. Like, to people who are just tuning in, which is again nobody. These streams are just me and Tim as fucking about while we're reading a wonderful story, because no one had made a reading of it, and it deserves a reading, and he wants me to read it.
Yeah.
So I'm doing it live because I'm a dickhead.
In front of
this
presumably
wonderful audience of absolutely nobody. I'm such a sad old man. I'm a sad old man right now.
You're a sad man.
Let's see where we last left off. We had followed in May. Now I need to remember the number. One moment. Shit. Okay, never mind. A number who had followed his past had a wonderful exchange with his brother, which I fucking relate to. Super well written by the author.
This memory should have been left out. But...
Huh?
Oh, nothing you need to worry about.
Let's see here. Well, in like of everyone showing up, we're just gonna go on it. So, the present. His eyes shut up. His eyes shut open, his eyes shut open and he gasped. Above him in the firelight, sunshine stood, hoof raised to prod him again. What was that all about? The unicorn asked, a slight frown on his brow.
Nothing that concerns you,
he replied, struggling to keep the venom from his tone. The set of memories were not ones that he regularly chose to relive. Even being able to mute the intensity, memories couldn't remove the sting. The intensity memory
Of the memories, I'm assuming.
Yeah, probably. Even being able to mute the intensity of memory. Even being able to mute the intensity of that memory couldn't remove even being able to mute the intensity couldn't remove the sting of those memories. Couldn't remove the sting those memories always brought. It was even worse when they crept into his dreams, which sometimes happened when he slept too deeply. Deep sleep.
2 and 3.
That's not the answer to the question I asked. Sunshine told the lamb sternly. He scowled, this time making no effort to hide his discontent.
it was nothing but a nightmare, God. If you're quite finished, I was trying to sleep,
He said, rolling over so he didn't have to look at the solar guard, and waited for him to leave. Huh?
Just that you're a fool. Nothing to worry about.
I just took a drink and he tells me I'm a fool. Guys, I think I'm being poisoned.
No poison. That's nice.
It's venom.
No, that's when it's injected.
Oh, venom.
Actually, no, you are a living creature. You are not a venomous substance.
Shut the fuck up, Edward. Oh, that's not the name of
My
it.
name's not Edward.
Sure, shrimp. That... It took longer than he would have liked, but finally the unicorn sighed and walked away with a soft clop of hooves. Once he was sure the guard was far away, he cracked open his eyes and surveyed the camp in the low firelight. The solar guard were sleeping in a defensive ring, not even having removed their armor so as to be ready for anything. The 2 sentries were still wide awake and alert, scanning the darkness for any danger. Silently, he tested the chain, pulling it up link by link till it went taut. Looking down his length, he saw the other end was locked to Captain Valor's chest plate.
So much for that idea.
He rested his head back down and closed his eyes. Seems he was headed for Van Hoover no matter what.
They want me to solve some crime involving mind magic for them. But afterwards, they plan to throw me back in Deverton. This is going to be the only chance I ever get at either escape or earning my freedom. I best be ready.
With that in mind, he spent the rest of the night forming plots and schemes in his head till morning came. I better be ready.
Redverton, by the way.
Fuck off. Though I do appreciate it because I need to get down the way to say that.
Not sure if that is the correct way to say
Trevor.
it, considering the
Trevorton.
strange amount of R's in that word.
I think the thing that throws me off is that is Dreverton. It's that V. It's like Rever. That bit is like a mirror of itself. With the rise of their mistress's sun, so did the Solar Guard. At first light, they were up and hitching the Pegasus to the chariots, not even stopping to break their fast.
Must mean we're close then.
Prisoner 452 thought. Although looking around, he still couldn't see anything but barren, rocky land. A yank on the chain brought him back to the present. Get in the chariot. Oh, that's Valor.
Let's go deep. Get in the chariot 452.
Valor growled, giving the captain a wide innocent smile that somehow still managed to convey his utter contempt for the Solar Guard. He complied and climbed into the nearest chariot. Within 2 minutes, they were airborne. And then there was nothing to do but wait and listen to the beat of wings in the windy silence. 452 decided he wasn't going to miss anything important, so he closed his eyes and let himself drift back into meditation. That word was split. Is giving the small comments on where spelling could be improved. I'm also gonna check here. I am wondering. Let me see if I can contact someone. Do. Why is that? See here. Contact here. Maybe the link just broke. I don't know.
What are you doing?
I am checking if we can have company because it's not as fun without people who do random shit in chat.
So you are lonely?
Yes.
Good.
Fuck you.
No, thanks.
Oh. We get the first mention of something here. The past. Bray. Gossamer was... Nice. Alright. We have Shadewood Clover and the stream is working. Bray. Yeah. I'm trying to get a little low quality, but it's good. Huh. How's the audio? After all, the audio is what we really need to have at the top of quality. This is, after all, a reading video. Alright, we have confirmed that the audio quality is good, so that's good. It's no worry, Clover. It's no worry, Clover. The video quality doesn't have to be good. This is supposed to be in the background. I'm just gonna let him know. Pardon me.
No.
Whoever just joined the stream and just said,
Was it? Nah.
Let me actually bring up this so that we can see if happening there. Bray, Gossamer. No, wait, shit. Who says this? The Griffin spat. Griffin's voice in Fleece is very close. Shit, why
I was
would
gonna say might not necessarily be the same Griffin, or even if it is.
the Griffin spat and moved on to the next. I think it's probably Bray. Bray, Gossamer was told. From now on, your name is Prey. You're weak, slow, small, and useless. You'll never make a soldier, so you're prey. The Griffin spat and moved on to the next recruiting line. It wasn't the same. Fuck you being right. The very next line. It wasn't the same Griffin.
Well, time to read the line.
No, Griffins get the same voice.
You might want to make sure you have a voice that's nicer for your throat. But,
Wait, the Griffin shows up a lot.
nah.
You cheeky little. That voice though is pretty fine. Like it's just the tightening of the vocal cords. It's not like rasping, ripping up the back of my throat.
Crushing the vocal cords is fine.
Like the problem is if I claw up the back of my throat. That's where it hurts.
If I claw up the back of my throat,
That's where things hurt.
wonder why.
Feel free to talk, chat. I might not see it immediately, but that's why we have Tumis.
I'm playing solitaire.
He's playing solitaire while you guys could keep him company.
But I might look up every few minutes when I finish a game. Like I just did.
Oh
well.
Oh, I hope we offer some form of entertainment in the background to whatever you may be doing. Hey, we have a like. Thank you. It wasn't the same Griffin. This one had black feathers and a mask studded with iron nails instead of a snarling manticore. The Griffin had told them her name was Torment. Okay, Mrs. Edge. Studded with iron nails. There's some edge here. And that she would show them the meaning of her name if they ever stepped out of line. So she's a fucking drill sergeant. Nah. I sort of respect that. I can't help but sort of respect that. Torment hummed as she considered the tall grey. Okay, to whoever is watching the stream, who probably didn't get the prelude, there's an MLP story. It's full of gruesome shit, but that also means that you get such wonderful quotes read in a buttersmooth voice as where the hell did you go? Torment hummed as she considered the tall grey donkey which stood next in line to Gossamer. Donkeys! Half tempted to read that in a Shrek voice. Well built, decent coat, strong legs, generally okay. From now on, your assistant's name is Lance, because that's the weapon we're going to give you.
Don't even get to shoot my own weapon.
Why do I not get to choose my own weapon? What if I want to Shut up, Private!
What about the submachine gun?
Wait, if I get an LG?
What about my submachine gun?
A donkey with a submachine gun. Someone with artistic talent, get on that. Mounted on the side. Wasn't that a thing, though? Wasn't like I think there were horse-drawn machine guns by the Russians, which is where Tashanka gets his name from.
Mountain goats pulling guns.
Have you ever seen Skyrim?
No.
Just a mountain goat on the side of a mountain, just with a giant cannon attached to his back. Just, hello, I'm just not gonna give a shit.
That's an actual thing that's been in military history, though. So.
I love it.
Screw gun batteries.
The newly lame. The newly lamed.
Fits.
The newly named Lance gave a slight mad grin at his new name, a nasty glint in his eye. Lance, I like it, the donkey said. Torment ignored him and moved on to the next in line. I'm just gonna go fill up my tea, so you guys will get Timus as your company. He is like a drill sergeant.
I'm tired, so don't expect any degree of nice.
Accurate. Brother, I crave the oats. I crave the balls, brother. Oh, my nuts.
Hmm. It's tradition. It's tradition. Okay, I'm gonna go back. There we go. Nothing there. Hello, people. I return. My nuts are broken, but I live. For now.
Shut up, YouTube. I know the resolution is low. That's fine.
YouTube thinks it's not fine.
So long as our audio is as as before. Which, let me actually check that. Because I'm curious if I manage to hit peak crispness of the audio. That would be wonderful. Because then I have a solid set of like, yeah, this is how we're gonna do it. Oh my, we have more.
More fools have joined the parade.
More fools have joined the prey.
Not the prey. They haven't joined that yet.
Join the fray!
Nah.
Brother, I am pinned here!
Oh, they left. Well, wait, no, that was me.
You left.
I'm a fucking idiot. We're halfway through a chapter, almost. And I'm celebrating that I'm joining my own stream. Is this a midlife crisis? Is this what a midlife crisis is?
I don't know. I threw mine out
In
a
that
while
case,
ago.
in that case, it's very unfortunate because that would imply that I die at 40.
Well, I don't know. I threw my midlife crisis out a while ago.
You're 4 years younger than me.
Yeah, I threw it out.
What is up with this, Dagan?
Not
Let's
much.
see here. Gossamer looked at Lance out of the corner of his eye and tried to hide his trembling. He couldn't believe any of this was happening. That he was right now standing in the middle of the resistance camp, hidden deep within the forest, and even worse, they thought he was now one of them. But I joined for my own. But I joined on my own free will, didn't I? He asked himself miserably. Too late to back out now. Stormont was very clear. Stormont was very clear on what she would do. Stormont was very clear on it. Hey, we actually got a.
She was clear on that, huh?
She was very clear, but
On.
I cannot do it. Okay, never mind. We lost that fear. Okay.
This is fine.
Stormont was very clear on what she would do to any deserters she got her claws on.
Gossamer was currently standing in line with 5 other individuals who had either volunteered or been forced to join the resistance. They were right in the middle of the camp, and around them the rest of the camp got on. And around them the rest of the camp got on with. And around them the rest of the camp gone. And I lost track. And around them I lost track of the line.
That would mean you are at that location
I do not want to be
Around
at this
them.
location.
and around them. So there's either multiple of you or you're very stretched out. And that's what someone you're into. And they left.
We get new people like for instances, and then it's just, nah, I'm out of this shit. No, thanks.
It's not an academy record.
That's not an academy record because people have left quicker from my streams.
I've scared away people faster.
This dense undergrowth helping to break up any and around them the rest of the camp got on with its day. All the rough shelters were well hidden amidst the tall trees and vines, the dense undergrowth helping to break up any outline from view of any air or ground units that might be on patrol in the area. Ugh, words. I know them.
They, however, don't know you and they don't like you.
That was annoying.
Oh, someone joined. Let's see when they leave.
Hello, person.
Hello, let's see if you're scared away.
I hope that you stick around till you actually get to hear that I greet you, because we have a latency of like, I don't know. I don't think the stream yet has
Very
counted
specific amounts.
that you're in. So, yeah, never mind. The person left before the stream even caught that they were here. See, oh, and there we go. Now they would have heard us say hi.
What?
See there? That's actual stream. So the 3 just showed up there right after they left. Oof. These are big oof moments. I know the kiddos.
Kiddos don't care though.
Gossamer was going to stand. Gossamer wasn't even sure where here was. There's a double. Here was exactly. The resistance fighters hadn't traveled any sort of path once they'd left the village. Instead, they'd seemed to rely solely on the map in their. Instead, they'd seem to solely rely. Instead, they'd seemed to rely solely on a map in their head that only they knew. They had traveled swiftly all day, not stopping to rest once, and Gossamer had almost been left behind. He was weak with exhaustion by the time they'd finally stopped in the evening, and he'd immediately collapsed onto the ground. It wasn't until masked figures started emerging from all around that Gossamer realized they were in the middle of the camp. That had been 4 days ago. On the first day, a zebra wearing a snarling bear mask had kicked him and Fleece awake and told them to get up. Okay, I'm gonna have to look up what this word is. And how I am to pronounce this. Because
It is pronounced heresy, you heathen.
Oh, it doesn't. Okay. Off the eye or sight, blurred. Blearily. Do you have a?
You needed to look up that word?
I've
What
never
word?
seen it spelled out.
What
Blairy.
word?
This.
Hmm,
Okay.
it's blaring.
Blairy, they'd done so, and before Gossamer could ask what was happening, or even had the chance to speak, to Fleece, they were split up. Fleece had been taken away by the Griffin, whose resistance name was Razor, and Gossamer was given a bucket and told to fill up the water barrel. To whoever is the person watching, half of the fun of this is probably just hearing me stumble over words because I don't read this shit beforehand. Which is probably a bad idea from a voice acting perspective, but
Another alternative is reading the one line ahead and then saying it.
yeah, like that's probably what I would do if I was to do this just to get a reading. But I don't think that would be the best comedy. And this is entertainment.
And your sense of comedy confuses me.
So does many things.
Yes, like the fact that humans are still around.
Swear you're gonna bring the apocalypse one day.
Not well.
You know what? Here's something that would be fun. Reading some Fallout Equestria stories.
Or he's trying to read the thing itself, perhaps.
Isn't that super long though?
Yeah.
What am I reading right now, Tumas? What is it that you have sent me to read?
A decently long story.
Decently long. You have yourself told me that this is longer than the 3 books of the Lord of the Rings.
You see, I've seen things that are like 6 times as long as that on the
What
site.
the fuck are you? I have no idea what fucking accent I'm going into at this point.
Drunk.
Nobody. Drunk.
And that's how you offend people.
Drunk. Drunk, my friend. This is fucking drunk. And you're drugs.
No.
So there. Your argument is invalid because you are drugs.
I'm not Demoman, so I'm not drugs.
I am high on Demoman.
Yeah. Just get it out through a cigarette or something. Tired and making SB Black as T references.
Glorious, glorious. This is going well. This is what is the best case of a stream? It's once you're so high. Then the Severades what that wasn't where I was supposed to go back. Shit.
I also like to point out you just left it off. It's when you're so high.
Yes, that was intentional. But if I just gotten back to the place where I was supposed to continue reading. Oh well. When he timidly whispered that he didn't know where the water barrel or the river were, the Severide grabbed him by one soft ear and dragged him through the undergrowth to a hidden stream, and then back to camp where he was shown the large water barrel hidden under a cloth drape. It looked almost identical to a bush. Well, these people are definitely rough.
Boy, you have not seen half of it.
To be fair, they
Half of
burnt
what
down.
we've been shown thus far.
Then the Zebraid swatted him roughly on the back of his head, and left with a parting threat. Those who don't work don't eat. Gossamer had picked himself off the dirt and miserably got into work. It took all morning. The bucket was heavy and it didn't even have a handle. The route to and from the stream was heavily overgrown, and twice he dropped the bucket and had to start again. There were thorn patches along the way, and what with still being little more than a lamb, Gossamer struggled. Every time he stood staring Every time he stood straining on the tips of his hooves just so he could reach the edge of the water barrel, struggling to lift the ungainly bucket high enough. His limbs would tremble and he'd almost fall over as all the blood rushed to his head, but he kept going. That's a neat detail, because that tells us how he's doing this. All the blood rushed to his head. That means he must be standing on his front.
You are beginning to get good at noticing the little details. Because that is a thing in the story. There are a lot of things you can tell if you notice the little details.
I'm gonna point them out because I'm pointing out like the mistakes in not spelling, because as enough people can tell me I am not good at spelling, but I can catch mistakes where double writings and all that stuff because they catch me off guard. But I'm also gonna point out those good parts because, again,
You're a foolish optimist.
shut up. There's hope in this world. He's looking at me with the most just... Like, if you take the image that you're seeing right now on screen of Timus, which is up in the top left, just flatten out that face. Like, not the face, the mouth.
Also, I think you mean top right.
Did I say left?
Yes.
I'm just gonna blame that on her mother.
No.
What did we do to deserve you?
Nothing yet.
What did we do to get deemed to have the punishment of you?
Nothing yet.
Goddamn time-traveling monkeys. When he'd finally poured the last bucket into the water barrel, he'd collapsed and sat there in the dirt. In the dirt and fallen leaves. Panting. Out of nowhere, a dark blue earth pony wearing a fanged mask had appeared and started yelling at him for slagging off. When Gossamer had tried to protest, the earth pony had practically squealed with delight. "We've got a recruit disobeying orders here!" the stallion shouted to the camp. Faces had started to appear from the shelters, and 5 or so individuals who had been practicing with wooden swords and spears stopped to watch. The knowing looks on their faces and the leers made Gossamer realize that he'd made a big mistake. Yeah, let's... You all know the punishment for disobeying orders, but for those of you who need reminders, the blue pony pulled a long black whip from under his cloak and sadistically smiled, creasing his face as he pushed the mask up so he could glare at Gossamer properly. I think that's supposed to have B in there. I'll be happy to provide. Gossamer turned to run for it, even though he knew he had nowhere to go. There was a vicious hiss, and then a blinding crack of pain. Gossamer hit the soft dirt with a shrill scream as his legs turned to sponge. His back felt like it had been set on fire. It burned so bad. His back felt like it had been set on fire, it burned so bad. He could hardly breathe. Let this be a lesson to you, Lamb. Never question orders. The blue earth pony said. From somewhere behind him. The blue earth pony said from somewhere behind him. But he hardly heard. But he hardly heard the words through the throbbing of his back. Whimpering, he curled himself into a ball Whimpering, he curled himself into a ball as everyone returned to what they had been doing after the brief show. The stallion was called Stinger. The stallion was called Stinger, Gossamer learned. Rather appropriate in his bitter opinion. And that Stinger was one of the 3 captains in charge of this camp. The other 2 being the Griffin Racer and the Zebra with a snake mask. Snake. Oh. This floor is made out of floor. Gossamer had lain in the dirt shivering for over an hour until he was able to finally rise again. No one could help him. They just stepped around him and continued on with their jobs. With annoyed looks. Gossamer silently cried to himself, not even noticing the mocking years he got from those who saw. It wasn't just the pain, it was everything. The border guard, the resistance, Fleece's anger, their hard life, the unfairness of it, the war being alone, his own patheticness, and most of all, his mother's death. He mourned all of it. It didn't help, no matter how much he cried. He knew it would never get better. When he finally got enough strength back to stand, he hobbled off to the stream and very gingerly washed this long stripe of blood from his back. He'd whimpered and berated himself for his own weakness, even as he flinched and cringed, but he just couldn't help it. The whip cut hurt too much. He stared at his reflection in the dark water. A red, swollen eye, fresh tear tracks streaking.
Probably.
Yeah, streak. Yeah, probably. Fresh tear tracks streak.
Or
No,
the
it is
tracks.
streaking the soot. Oh,
Oh, so
it is just a very hard line to read.
also you.
Fresh tear tracks streaking the soot and dirt along with a big drop. Fresh tear tracks streaking the soot and dirt along with the big drooping ears. He looked hopeless. He felt hopeless. He sat there for a very long time. He might have sat there much longer if the same Zebra with the bear mask from earlier hadn't found him and ordered him to get off his flank and help dig the new latrines. Or else he'd let Sting have another go at that soft wool of yours. Lamb or not, you work or you suffer. Head hanging so low his nose almost dragged in the dirt, Gossamer had pushed himself to his feet with willpower alone, and shuffled off to do as he had been ordered. That
There's nothing.
Oh.
What
It's been soothing while I've been building, but I'm going to join a call now. Have a good time.
Hope they don't get ya.
I'm glad that you could enjoy the soothing voice of Honey Tea
While discussing death.
while we're reading this horror. Feel free to
Well,
advertise
it's not
this.
horror yet.
Fuck you.
No thanks.
That had been 4 days ago, and Gossamer had already That had been 4 days ago, and Gossamer had already learned many things about how the Resistance was run on a day-to-day basis. Not because anyone had taken the time to explain or teach him, he'd learned because he had to. Failure to comply with an order, or performing it too slowly, meant getting punished. The camp held about 45 members of the Resistance here alone, but he'd caught enough passing conversation to know of the existence of at least 3 other camps, possibly 4. He couldn't be certain. It wasn't like anyone ever told him anything. Also, I just keep looking. Anytime I look over to the screen, I just see the Ninja. The Ninja.
Nah.
Gossamer was the lowest of the low in the camp. Is it just me, or does something happen? Like, there's a flash from my... Oh, wait, it's the YouTube's message to tell me that, hey, your quality sucks.
Yeah.
Fuck off, YouTube.
YouTube is fucking off with your personal information.
This offends me!
Yeah, they know.
Sorry to anyone who watches this back with headphones. But hey, you probably already had your eardrums shattered. Gossamer was the lowest of the low in the camp. If anyone wanted something doing, I think that wanted something done, they could order him to do it. The camp was broken up into an unofficial hierarchy, which was determined either by strength, experience, or cruelty. Everyone seemed to instinctively know where they stood on the pegging order. That feels like the Wire. That's sort of how they should work.
That will make no sense for someone who doesn't know what that's talking about.
Hello, people who don't know. I feel happy for you. At the same time, feel free to comment about it because I'll tell you more. That said, fights, threats, and bullying were very common and perfectly acceptable. So Gossamer had to try hard to keep out of sight and out of mind. He was miserable, sore, tired, and hungry all the time. He thought back to the farm that they'd been hard pressed for food. He thought back in the farm that they'd been hard pressed for food, but that wasn't anything like out here in the forest. Any food brought in from raids didn't last long, among 45 hungry mouths. Any food brought in from raids didn't last long among 45 hungry mouths, and while there was food to be had among the trees, only the zebras were any good at either finding or correctly identifying it. Giving into temptation and eating harmless-looking fruit was a quick way to an early grave in the mud, but not before you'd vomited your guts out. Gossamer wasn't making that up either. On the second day, he'd seen just that. He'd only caught a glimpse of the donkey heaving up blood before he'd run away, but it had been enough to convince him never eat anything he didn't see someone else eat first. No one ever spoke to him except to either give him an order or yell at him, usually both. And for the most part, the Resistance seemed happy to ignore his existence, aside from 2 aforementioned cases. Ugh. Standing in line after just receiving his Resistance name was one of those exceptions. The other 5 in line were fresh recruits who had been brought in by Stinger earlier today, and Torment had lined them up to give them all their new names. Apparently, she'd also remembered that he hadn't been renamed yet, and decided she may as well get it over and done with. Although with the mockery of the name Prey, it wasn't much better than being nameless. Prey! Tormund suddenly barked, making him flinch. Yes, ma'am? He answered in a... Yes, ma'am? He answered in a shaky voice. Tormund sneered down at him. Stop shivering, you worthless piece of... Stop shivering, you worthless piece of cloud fluff! I'm going to skin you alive! Stop shivering, you worthless piece of cloud fluff! I'm not going to skin you alive yet! No shit. There needs to be a space there. Stop shivering, you worthless piece of... I am not good at being mean. Stop shivering, you worthless... Stop shivering, you worthless piece of cloud fluff! I'm not... Stop shivering, you worthless... Stop shivering, you worth...
You worth.
You worth. Stop shivering, you worthless piece of cloud fluff! I'm not going to skin you alive! Yet. She added with a terrifying grin as everyone else in line smirked. Yet. She added with a terrifying grin as everyone else in line smirked. Gossamer gave it his best effort, but still couldn't quite manage to eliminate all the trembling. What do you want? What do you want me to do? He managed to ask. Tormund grinned. I thought a demonstration was in order. One that I'd like you to help me out with. One that I'd like you to help me out with. Think you can manage that, Prey? She asked, a cruel grin still firmly affixed to her beak. How in the hell do you do that?
They are surprisingly flexible.
Yeah. Insert Gilda with just shit-eating grin. Or use
don't make
silver.
papyrus noises, Lucy. You don't want to call upon them.
Nay!
Do you really want to call upon them
No.
at this hour of night?
No, but I'm half tempted to drop the bone milk video just into the stream.
You might now made reference to that, though, so...
Shut up. Gossamer swallowed and bobbed his head up and down, mouth having gone dry to speak. Excellent! Step forwards, Tormund ordered. When Gossamer did so, Tormund turned around to face the 5 new recruits. Right, I'll make this brief. You're in the Resistance now, and you are fighters. It's that simple, understand? Tormund paused until all the new recruits in front of her had nodded their agreement. And how do we fight? She asked them. A lone zebra raised a hoof. With weapons? Poison wells, perhaps? He suggested. I asked how, not with what, Tormund snapped. We fight by winning, and the best way to win is to fight. And the best way to win a fight is to pick them with care, and to attack where the border guards least expect it. Ambushes, tripwires, poisoned water sources, night raids. That's how we fight. And that is why we are going to win this war. One of the best ways to do this is by using surprise and attack from behind. All the new recruits in front of the Griffin nodded at her logic. A savage grin flashed across Tormund's face. Here, let me demonstrate. With that, the Griffin whirled, and before Gossamer could even... Shut up. And before Gossamer could even scream, he was grabbed by the throat and lifted, choking into the air. Her talons dug into his neck, not deeply enough to drop blood, but already he was gasping for air. Weak forelegs trying to pry Tormund's iron grip free. For example, Tormund said, addressing the recruits, some of whom were smirking openly at Gossamer's plight. The throat is one of the biggest weak spots, and everyone, pony or otherwise, has one.
Yes, that theirs is like half a fucking meter. Like, seriously, throat and eyes are weak points. If one knows how they look, very large eyes, very
Yeah.
large throat. How did you survive evolution?
How did you evolve?
Oh, you didn't. Oh, that makes sense.
It's soft, it's weak, it's easy to stab, slit, or crush. Or simply choke, like right now. Gosimir's attempts to free himself were growing even more frantic as his vision started to grow fuzzy. See this point here? Tormund continued, not paying the struggling lamp any attention. This is jugular vein, and this here is an artery. A sharp claw poked at the places on Gosimir's throat as they were named. This time actually pressing hard enough to draw pinpricks of blood. Gosimir struggled all the harder. A buzzing was building in his ears, and the edge of his vision were starting to fade to black. Abruptly, Gosimir was dumped onto the ground, and immediately he began gasping for air, sucking in great lungfuls as Tormund continued as if nothing happened. Cutting a throat isn't as easy as it sounds. You actually have to go quite deep to get it right. Unfortunately. She shot the huddled form of Gosimir nursing his throat with a filthy leer. Despite Prey's worthlessness, I'm still not allowed to use him as a test dummy. This got a few nervous chuckles from the recruits. Aside from the one from Lance, that laugh sounded wholehearted in its amusement. Yeah, that guy's up on the shopping that just now on the list of fuck you.
Wait a fucking anchor.
We're gonna stab you right in your balls.
That is copyright.
Please, Hailstorm. No.
Set him up to knock him down.
Just like the simulation. Gosimer shivered at the words and tried to crawl away unnoticed through the dirt, but a heavy claw came down on his back legs, making him cry out shrilly. Right. Moving on to hamstringing an opponent, Tormund said, dragging him back. Gosimer went limp and hoped it would all be over soon. Let me just shake where we... maybe I should leave a bookmark.
Yes. I think you now understand the pain I've experienced when accidentally clicking the comment, but the quote thing that puts you down to comments.
Okay, we are closing in on cutting back to the present, so I'm thinking... how long have we been live? We have been live for almost an hour. We might want to...
It's approaching 9.
Yeah, we might want to call it after that point.
If you don't call it, I'm gonna call a shot.
Please send help.
Don't bother.
It wasn't. Tormund had gone into great detail using Gosimer as a display dummy, twisting his legs the way that they... Twisting his legs this way and that in their sockets, pulling his head back, digging his talons into the joints. Everything hurt. And all that movement had also reopened the long, thick scab across his back from Stinger's whip. He felt completely miserable as he sat under a tree, ate the midday meal. He was off to the side, out of everybody's way. Hopefully that would be enough to get them all to ignore him. Painfully, Gosimer lifted his forelegs and brought up the and brought up the shriveled apple fruit for another bite.
What do I do?
He asked himself. He knew if things continued on the way they were, he would soon either be crippled or dead. Gossamer was just wondering if death wasn't the preferable option when he heard a voice that made him forget all about his problems and pain. Bolting upright, Gossamer yelled out, "Fleece!" And there his brother was, amongst a group of four others who were just returning to camp. Gossamer hadn't seen his brother since they'd been separated that first morning, and he'd been having terrible nightmares of what might have happened to Fleece in that time. Fleece stopped talking to the deer next to him and looked around. When he spotted Gossamer, he quickly said a last few words to the young buck before trotting over to Gossamer, a large grin plastered over his muzzle. Gossamer almost threw himself at Fleece, but at the last second, all his pains reasserted themselves, and he had to settle for raising a hoof instead in hello.
I like Gotham pain.
Huh?
Don't worry about it.
I do worry about it.
Then stop worrying about it and you'll be maybe less of a target.
But the grin on his face as he looked up at his older brother and sole reason for living was anything but second best. But the grin on his face as he looked up at his older brother and sole reason for living was anything but second best. And if the grin was desperate around the edges, so what?
Fleece!
Gossamer started happily. Breaker! It's Breaker now. Fleecer cut in. Gossamer paused.
Breaker?
He asked in confusion. Yeah, that's my new name. My resistance name. Breaker. And what's yours, little brother? He asked with a tired smile. Gossamer hesitated for a second.
They call me Prey, but that doesn't mean that my name... But that doesn't mean my name's not Goss.
No. Your name is now Prey, and mine's No, your name is now Prey, and mine's Breaker. We're now part of the Resistance, so there's no use for all names. Fleece told Gossamer. Gossamer...
Clinging on to sanity.
This guy is so close to snapping. What is the thing you have said about the whole cast of the show?
They are all a hair's width away from insanity.
Yeah.
If one decides to look at it with those analytic eyes, all of them are fucking close to snapping into insanity.
Yeah,
And
particularly.
there are the times when they snap there and then snap back.
Yeah.
And it's just... Yeah, they're
It's-
all fucking insane.
It is some of the best moments for the animators to just have fun.
That's just Pink Tea in general. The pink
And-
thing defies us.
And Twilight. Twilight snapping is a lot of fun to see. At least when the...
Catching fire is a perfectly normal thing.
Lesson Zero has some of the most fun animation.
That is
Time
not a
clock
perfectly
is
acceptable thing. But we are not gonna tell them to stop.
Gossamer blinked and shrugged. Fleece was still his brother, even if he was called by a different name.
Breaker. Are you okay? Where did they take you? I've been so worried.
Gossamer asked in a low voice, glancing around to check if anyone was listening in, which they weren't. Come, Prey. Let's sit down first. I'm quite tired, Fleece said, moving over to a tree and taking a seat under it. Gossamer looked Fleece over, and then over as he sat down next to him. His brother did indeed look tired and dirty, much like himself. His hooves were chipped and cracked, and...
What happened to your horn?
Gossamer gasped in surprise. Oh, this? Fleece asked, touching his right horn, which was cracked and missing its tip. Razor did it. He hit me at full swing with his spear shaft. he said casually. What? Gossamer squeaked. Yeah, he was training me. Said I had to know how to take a hit. On the other hoof, I broke the spear shaft. That's how Razor decided I should be called Breaker. Fleece explained, leaning back to put a foreleg around Gossamer's thin shoulder. I honestly appreciate that way of giving the names. Like, if you look at it, that's a logical way to give people names. And why not? Why not also give them a first name until you find a better name?
Why not torture them until you find a good name?
Like, Pessimist. Silence.
Of the lambs.
But how could he do that? Breaker, we can't stay here. Just look at you. It's only so long before we get killed.
Gossamer hit.
But how could they do that? Breaker, we can't stay here. Just look at you. It's only so long before we get killed.
Gossamer hissed in a low whisper, ears shriveling this way and that for eavesdroppers. Fleece frowned in annoyance at Gossamer. I already told you we're not leaving. You need to stop thinking about that. No one's interested, Bray, he said. Gossamer flinched as his brother said his resistance name.
But Razor,
he began. Razor's a great guy. He's been in the resistance since they began. Can you believe that? Imagine what he's seen. Imagine what I can learn from someone like that.
Imagine how many villages he's burnt down.
Yeah, imagine how many people this guy has killed. Wonderful work, Lamspray. You're making us absolutely fucking hate this guy.
A lot of well-written shit in this story.
I love it. And I mean, I'm probably biased.
Probably.
And he's promised to teach me. So long as I can keep up, and with his help, I will get my revenge, Fleece said. Gossamer was taken aback by gleam of awe. Gossamer was taken aback by the gleam. Oh yeah, it's just a missing word. Gossamer was taken aback by the gleam of awe in his brother's eyes as he spoke about the griffin.
By beating you with a spear? What's that going to achieve? Can't you see, Fleece? He's just using you.
Gossamer said, trying to break through to his brother. No! No! Fleece shouted, shoving Gossamer angrily away. I will not let you say anything against him. He's harsh, yes, but that's all for my own good. Besides, I deserved the 2 times I got whipped. It taught me to do better next time, Fleece said. Fleece said with a careless shrug.
Whipped? Why did...
That's in the past now, Prey. You need to move on. That's the way things work around here.
Need to move on. Revenge. Literally not even 5 minutes later, you need to move on.
That's one thing. And you're just going to have to get used to it. There's only one law out here. Those who are weak suffer. So I'm not going to be weak. Razor is going to make me strong. You'll see, Fleece said with a mad glint in his eye. Gossamer stared up at his brother and felt what was left of his world crumble.
How has everything gone How has everything gone wrong so completely?
He thought. Gossamer saw now that his brother
really had gone mad. All those months of fear, uncertainty, and helplessness had finally taken their toll. Their mother's death had been the last straw that broke the camel's back.
And the camel was out of range of any hospitals and died.
Fuck. Emotional scene, Tumis. Morbid humor, yes!
He's funny.
The fleece in front of him was no longer the brother he knew. He just hadn't seen it till now. Fleece? He tried one last time to bid to appeal. He tried one last time in a bid to appeal to his brother, but he didn't get any further, as the hoof around his shoulder roughly pushed him off the tree roots to sprawl in the dirt. He stared up in shock at his brother, who was scowling furiously down at him. I told you to stop calling me that, Bray. You don't get it, do you? Fleece doesn't exist anymore. There's only me. I don't want to see you again till you are prepared to face reality. Ow! Oh!
Well,
Fleece spat. No, not Fleece. Breaker. Gossamer could only stare at his brother walk away. The whip mark on his back stung viciously from where he'd hit the ground, but it was nothing compared to how badly his heart hurt. Gossamer didn't even notice that he was crying, sobbing actually. Silent, hopeless, wrecking sobs that shook his small body as he watched his brother leave him. I don't want to be here anymore, he thought. I don't want to have to experience this. He pressed a hoof into his chest, trying to make the pain stop. I don't want to be living in this anymore. I don't want to be Gossamer. Present.
remember how he's earlier said that his name is not
Yeah,
Gossamer?
Gossamer died long ago.
Gossamer died a long time ago.
We're actually closing in on the end. Like, I could blast through this. Look at that. That's where we're at. And
We have like a fourth chapter left, Vissy.
that's not terrible. Not terrible,
That is
not great.
several thousand words.
True. Here is 9 we have been going for.
Remember those calculation I did a while ago on the rough average of the reading
Yeah,
speed?
though that's also estimating with the full streams, isn't it?
Yes.
But I am on
But
10%
it's
battery on my
fucking
phone,
worse.
so we might have to call it for now.
If you don't call it, I'll call a shot.
Like, I would love though to blast through, but
Late.
it just feels so bad to not do it in 2 streams when the last one we managed to pull it off.
If you try to keep everything in 2 streams, there's a 20,000 word chapter coming up.
I mean these 2 long ones, god damn it.
What do you mean 2
Yeah.
long ones?
We're just gonna put this goat here. So to anyone watching this back, sorry that we couldn't pull it off with 2 streams. I would have loved to start earlier, but it is true. We best do get some rest so that we're not complete wrecks. And tomorrow
It
I've
needs
got
to rest up for things.
tomorrow I've got a D&D session in the evening. So, probably not gonna stream then either. Maybe in the morning. We'll see. Depending on how things pan out.
The
But
health might be societal.
thank you all for watching, and until next time, I'll see you soon.